think so.
Yeah. You sure you're ready?
Oh my god. You started already, didn't you?
I did. I've started.
Yep.
Well, welcome
Hey everybody.
to Ready Set Lag episode 2.0.
Yep, season 2, baby.
So we wanted to so this is not just like the kind of first episode we did however long that was ago. I actually forgot when that months and months and months ago. So we wanted to do this episode as an update on obviously where we've been, where did the website go, why haven't you been uploading, why haven't you been streaming, and all of that good stuff. So basically, I moved. So that's a good chunk of all that time was moving and obviously getting everything set up. We're in a completely different state, pretty far away from where we were from. So that was obviously new job, everything like that. So it was a big transition for us. And I was like, well, I don't want to keep trying to do this and the quality of what we wanted to do go down. Mm-hmm. So we decided to take our one and hopefully only content break ever.
Yeah, that was it was a little long there. Of course, you know. As far as like me, you've just kept me in your basement.
Yeah.
Feeding me nothing but like dry macaroni.
Yeah. And not even craft either. It's been like the stuff you find like 99 cents.
Yeah, some off-brand like just dry macaroni. If I was good, you'd give me the cheese packets, which I would, I greatly appreciate that.
Yeah,
it was very kind of you.
You know, but, I'm here for the people, to be honest with you. So that's why I did that.
Yeah, it's good to be back. So yeah, with everything going on between, like you moving and getting set up at the new place and just getting settled in, and I started a new job kind of recently. So we just we wanted to make sure that we were, we had our feet on the ground, that we were just ready to jump back in and start doing this without there being some sort of quality drop.
And we kind of didn't want to either have there was like certain weeks where we could have done a couple episodes, but then it would be like another long break before we could do another episode.
Yeah, it just would have been way too irregular.
Yeah, so I should have posted, or we should have done probably something like a YouTube video or something kind of explaining this a while ago, but I have been with this new job that I'm doing. We're not going to get into what I'm doing, but it's a lot more responsibility, a lot more time. And so when we were kind of doing that move, I honestly, not saying I wasn't thinking about RSL, but I had a lot of other things that I kind of had to attend to that took a lot of my time, but I'm in a good spot. I've got stupid fast internet. And so, yeah, we're ready now. When you're watching this or listening to this, the website should be back up. Should be able to listen to this on the website, and all other future podcasts episodes will be on the website or on Spotify or on iTunes or Amazon Podcasts, on everything. So, which is what we're going to talk about next, is actually the schedule of things and how we're actually going to do things moving forward. And so me and Nicholas have been talking about it quite a bit recently, because it's not it's been in our conversations. I know Nick has been like asking me quite often when we're starting up RSL back. And I don't even think he knew that I was starting the website back up until I called him and said, hey, the website's going to be back up. But so what we're going to be doing from now on is we are shifting back to what we originally were doing, which was 2 episodes a week, podcast episodes a week. Those are going to be up Tuesday, Thursday, and then the podcasts are going to be on our website and also, Spotify and all that kind of stuff. YouTube, we're going to kind of take a little different approach with YouTube to where I'm going to edit clips from the podcast, and I'm going to kind of like the really good articles or the really interesting things we talk about, and I'm going to post those on YouTube, probably with a bunch of Battlefield 2042 content behind it, which we will talk about here shortly. But so we're going to be taking that. YouTube is going to be more for clips, live streams, and like game reviews. And we're going to kind of shift to the podcast being a podcast, kind of a news podcast. We're still going to talk about reviews. We're still going to give games scores to let you guys know whether or not it's worth your time and your money, which is why we originally started RSL to begin with. So we're not cutting that out of the podcast, but we're going to do, obviously, kind of the deep dive, long form reviews. We're going to do that on YouTube, and we're going to give you kind of like our thoughts and opinion, and obviously the score that me and Nick kind of settle on is going to be, we're going to say that on the podcast. So you're still going to get your 30 to 45 minutes of news twice a week, because that's kind of what we want to be, is kind of your one-stop shop for game reviews, news, so you can listen twice a week, get absolutely every bit of information that you need. And then, and Nick, I don't know if you guys knew, I feel like we've said this in the podcast in the past, but Nick writes our articles for the website as well. So you can talk to us about that.
Yeah, so really looking forward to, jumping back into it. The way the articles will be going kind of at least for the beginning is, like if I see something like a topic that I find interesting, I'll just do like a deep dive research into the topic, and then of course I'll come up with that as as I find them interesting. But hopefully I would like to eventually just have a schedule, just regularly crank out articles for you lovely people to read. Real dude, I can't tell you how awesome it was when we got the news for that the new Armored Core game that came out.
Yeah, you wrote that article. I forgot actually when you wrote that.
Yeah, that was God, that was a while back. It was months ago. But yeah, just what started as just like a little whisper on the internet, little rumor here and there, turned out to be true. And I gotta say, that was an amazing feeling whenever it did turn out to be true. Because
June 27th.
Good God.
That's when you called that. So
but yeah, I don't know, it was just it was good. I enjoyed that. So I'm definitely looking forward to writing more reviews for you guys. And looking forward to becoming your number one news source in gaming.
Yeah, and that, I know we've talked about this before. We obviously talked about this in the actual episode 0 of season 1, that we're really, really focusing on being honest, being truthful with our reviews and our opinions, and obviously bringing the news of video games to everybody. Obviously, we obviously give our opinions on articles, but we don't change or alter articles when we read them, because I feel like being able to twice a week on your way to or from work, pop on our podcast, stay up to date with absolutely everything, And then obviously when the games come out, you can listen to our podcast, decide whether or not the review that we gave the game makes it seem worth the now pretty much always $70 for a video game. Because, we've talked about it before with most websites and most big outlets for video game reviews that we just don't feel a lot of honesty. And that's the one thing that we're here to kind of fill the gap of regular gamers, real gamers. I'm not saying that not all people who review games for big outlets aren't real gamers, but like we actually play these games and we
have a real respect for the actual medium.
Yeah,
like a love and respect for it.
And so when we give a game a 10 out of 10, it's a 10 out of 10. And if we give a game a 1 out of 10, it is an actual straight dumpster fire of a video game. And you shouldn't buy it. So I'm looking forward to getting back to that, obviously, and getting back to, I don't know, I miss doing the podcast. Obviously, when it comes to content, like that's something I love to do. And I've kind of stopped doing it, which kind of sucks for me. So I'm really, really looking forward to this. But we're not adding. Originally, I called Nicholas and I hit him with a jam-packed 5-day-a-week schedule that was every hour that you weren't at your regular job, we were doing RSL stuff, and that is just not going to happen.
Not, at least not right now.
Yeah, not right now. It's not.
It will never happen. But like it's the dream. We want to make this like our actual career one day.
But we definitely shrunk it down. We definitely brought it back down to you were always going to get your 2 episodes a week unless something absolutely major happens. So I don't want to say that we're never going to skip an episode, but it'll be something out of our control.
Yeah, and we'll let you know if it's going to happen.
Yeah.
We want to, that's a big thing. We want to make sure that there's clear and open communication between us and our audience.
Yes.
So the best way to do that, like keep an eye out on our social media, mainly Twitter. Our Twitter is where we're going to be mostly active. So like that's going to be the best way for you to interact with us. But
and obviously the website, our emails on there. I don't know too many people who shoot emails for just randomly talking, but we do check our email. But yeah, stay up to date with that stuff. We are definitely I know Nick is too, because we talk pretty much every single day. We're super excited to get back into this. So our first official episode will be Thursday, which is March 23rd, will be the first full RSL Season 2, Episode 1. But what we wanted to do before we end this Episode 0, Season 2, is talk about what we've been doing. Talking about the news that we missed. So I just have to say, from people who listened to this podcast when we first started, I straight up hated on Battlefield 2042.
Oh my God. I feel like that's a bit of an understatement. But
I pre-ordered that game. I was so excited. Game comes out. Trash. And I was so upset. I think I played it for 5 hours when the game came out. I uninstalled the game. Never turned it back on. And I kept watching their Twitter feed. I kept watching other content creators that I watch. And then finally I saw content creators that I trust and that I watch were saying, hey, the game's pretty good. And shout out Yak if you're listening, because I saw him on Twitter and he was telling me and telling everybody that he was switching from Apex to Battlefield. And then KT, I know you're listening, messaged me or talked about it, I think, once again on Twitter. And I messaged KT, and KT said, no, download it and give it another try. And for the past 4 days, all I've played is Battlefield 2042. It is amazing. It's on sale right now. It is definitely worth buy. I think it's actually the free PlayStation game of the month, actually, as well for PS5. Absolutely amazing. Obviously, Hogwarts Legacy. If we were in time to review that game, from your experience, you've still not beaten it. I almost 100%ed the game, by the way.
Which, listen, you guys don't know him. That's a big deal.
I have never, and I still say almost, I've still never 100%ed a game. This is the closest I came. I did all the main missions, all the side missions, all the Merlin trials. I did almost everything in the game. Nick, you've not beaten it yet.
No, but
if you had to right now, give it a score. This is an unofficial RSL Hogwarts Legacy review. What would you give it?
Okay.
Because obviously we don't have our notepads out, and we're not actually like writing things down. Gut feeling.
Yeah, gut feeling. Like the context, I have not actually completed the game in its entirety. But from what I've played, it's roughly like an 8 or a 9 for me. Probably an 8. Yeah, I would say an 8 out of 10. Like, it's an excellent game. I'm having a lot of fun with it. As soon as we get done here, I'm gonna immediately like hop back on and play it some more. But yeah, I would say a good solid 8 out of 10, almost a 9. Like, it's so fun. They really did a great job building this world. It's really fun. Yeah, like it's lacking in some areas, like some of the side missions aren't as like
some of them are
compelling.
tedious for sure.
Yeah, it's like they can be. There are some though. Like there's one in particular where it's like honestly it might be more compelling than the actual main story. But yeah, I would say it's lacking there. I've been having some frame rate issues. I'm playing on PC. Frames dropping a little bit, so it's not completely polished for me. But yeah, on overall, great game. It's excellent. I'm having a lot of fun with it, and I can't wait to finish it.
So my biggest gripes with the game, you can tell that the people who made the game, which I believe was it Avalanche, right? Avalanche Studios. So Avalanche Studios, you could tell that they really cared about the game. They really cared about the world. And I'm not the biggest Harry Potter fan, right? I didn't watch the Harry Potter movies until last year. Was the first time I ever watched them.
Yeah, it was pretty recently, yeah.
But what I will say is the whole time I was watching the movies, in my head I said, wow, this would make an amazing game. And now that I have the game, I will say my gut review is a 9 out of 10, 100%. If there was more enemy variety, the game was a tad bit longer because it's like an RPG, and they've talked kind of about DLC and things. They don't know if they're going to do it or not. So if they don't, I wish the game was a little bit longer. And then I did too, even on PC, I had some frame rate issues, and I'm running, a 2080 Super. Like my computer is decently beefy for somebody who still plays at 1080p. I should be able to run pretty much everything. So if those weren't there, they had more enemy variety. The game was a tad bit longer, unless we get DLC. The game might have been a 10 out of 10 for me.
Yeah,
it had all the pieces. A fantastic game, 100% worth your money. But it definitely had that potential, in my opinion, to be a perfect 10 out of 10. There's just it's going to be very hard for a game from RSL to get a 10 out of 10. Pretty
Yeah.
difficult.
But like honestly, for Avalanche to go from what was it, like Cars 3 or
Yeah.
something like
Yeah.
to
Mhm.
something like this is
Incredible.
I applaud it.
Yeah.
Like it's amazing what they were able to accomplish. And kudos to them. Like actually one thing I also kind of noticed, I wish they did a little bit more, was for an RPG, I felt like it was lacking a little bit in a lot of like dialogue options.
Yeah.
There was either like you could be nice or mean, and that was like a lot of
that's a lot of the, I feel like, Avalanche not having made a game like this before. And now 100% when there's the Hogwarts Legacy 2 or whatever they call it, I am almost positive we're going to be talking 10 out of 10 territory. Even if they don't stray from the first game, and they just obviously come up with another amazing story, and they improve on the enemy variety and I loved the combat, loved it.
Oh yeah, it's a lot of fun.
And they improve on those things. I think it's a 10 out of 10 game.
Mm-hmm.
But there was a 10 out of 10 game that came out.
Mm-hmm.
God of War Ragnarok.
Yep. Honestly, I wish I wish we could have covered it.
I do too.
Yeah, that one I was not just us, the world was excited for that one.
That game, literally perfect 10 out of 10. I enjoyed every second of that game. I sat here with my feet up on my desk, PlayStation controller in hand, and played that game. Now, I beat it before you did. I beat it well before you did, actually, I think.
Well, yeah. Well, it's because the way I play games, it's like as soon as side stuff like opens up to me, like I'm doing them. Like I do all the side missions and collectibles and stuff before I continue with the main story. So it took me a lot longer to to get there. Of course, if we were like still doing Ready Set Lag at the time, I would have fought that part of me and just tried to do some of it, obviously, just so I can get the gist of it. But I would have focused on the main story some more. But
yeah, I think
talk about, dude, a well-written story.
Well, I think that rarely happens in any kind of entertainment, where the sequel to a game does it better than the first one, in my opinion. And I don't mean like leaps and bounds better than the first one. I think the first game is obviously another 10 out of 10 game that came out. And this game is also a 10 out of 10. I just think the scope and the world building on Ragnarok was better. I felt more like, I don't know, I felt more attached to that world than I did necessarily the first one. But not even like, I was still attached to the first one. Like I was still all about everything that was going on, but I think the second one just did it a little better. So it is now, God of War Ragnarok is now cemented in probably top 10 games to come out ever, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And I'm not counting, by the way, games that have come out that I bought and played. Not like, obviously there's some game like people will be like, oh, what about Tetris or whatever? It's like, okay, well, obviously, Boomer, that stuff is like awesome, but I'm talking about games that I played, that I bought. You've got The Last of Us, you've got Uncharted 4, you've got God of War Ragnarok, you've got
Ghost of Tsushima.
Ghost of Tsushima. You've got probably, I kind of liked, this is probably going to ruffle some feathers, actually. I don't know what the opinion is on Spider-Man and Spider-Man Miles Morales. I don't know what the opinion. I like Miles Morales a lot.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, there's a couple games that to me are kind of like at the top.
I would say, by the way, like pretty much, actually, every single game that you've mentioned, all Sony games.
There seems to be a theme there.
Yeah,
Um,
every single.
I think Sony does single player games better.
Yep.
I think they do. I think it's they put a lot more. They know single player games are still worth making and worth having big budgets. And obviously they sell like crazy. They make the studio a lot of money. Obviously, by the way, Destiny 1 is definitely up there for me.
Times.
Good times. But yeah, so a lot of amazing things that I wish we could have covered. So I'm going to go ahead and say God of War Ragnarok. It's still not certified because we didn't do a video on it, but I'm going to say certified RSL 10 out of 10. 100%. And then I'm going to say Hogwarts Legacy. We won't certify that one. I give it a 9. Nick gives it a 10 or an 8. He hasn't beat it yet. So yeah, I don't know what the next game we're actually like the first game we're actually going to review. I actually don't know what it is.
Yeah, we haven't worked that out yet. But
I don't know of
figure it out.
anything.
We'll bring it up. Oh, so there is like something I do want to get your thoughts on before
Okay.
we move on.
All right.
So knowing like last season, we hyped up Game Pass so much. Right?
Oh,
I think it's fair that we get your thoughts on the new PlayStation Plus system, like Sony's response to the Game Pass.
I think their tiered subscription service. I think if you're new to the PlayStation ecosystem, I think it is very much worth your money. I think it's probably, I'm going to get a lot of hate for this. I think it's probably a better value than Game Pass if you've not played those games because there's so much content.
Yeah, that's the thing. Because like with both, I mean, with you and me both, you and I are of one mind on Sony just has the better exclusives, in our opinion. They have the better exclusives. So, like, if you're gonna go with one over the other, that's kind of what I would recommend if you wanted to play like those games. But Game Pass, in terms of like quantity, they have more, and they do have quality games. I mean, they own Bethesda now. They've got like all the Fallout, the Elder Scrolls on there.
But I think if you're coming from consoles only and not PC, and let's say you have a decision to make between paying for Game Pass or you got a PlayStation 5 and paying for Essentials, I think gets you like you don't get like the PS3 and PS2 catalog with Essentials, but you get like their first party games. Or whatever that tier is where you get those games, and you've never played Last of Us, you've never played the Uncharted games, you've never played God of War, Horizon, you've never played those games, that is literally worth more. Like the amount of fun you're going to have and the amount of time you're going to be able to spend on just those games alone, I think pretty much beats most things on Game Pass. Now, if you have played those games, I think Game Pass is the better value because it seems like they update it more. Seems like you get really good games on it. Like Hi-Fi Rush was on there day one. So I think it just depends on what it is. Obviously, best case scenario, you have both. But I think if you had to pick one, if I hadn't played those games, I would pick PlayStation, the PlayStation subscription service, because there's so many games to play that are obviously, like I said, my top 10 is pretty much 90% Sony exclusives. So yeah, I mean that's how I feel about it. I feel like, and if this merger ever actually officially goes through with Bethesda or with Blizzard and Microsoft, which is being held up right now, they could change that. They could definitely make some incredible games. Imagine you get the Call of Duty on Game Pass. That alone will pull up Game Pass, because love or hate Call of Duty, it's still one of the biggest franchises.
Yeah.
So for a lot of people, it'll be worth it. And obviously the Bethesda games, like you're gonna get is it Starfield, right? Jesus.
Yeah.
Starfield, yeah. So you're gonna get that on Game Pass. So yeah, it just depends. I don't care, and this is once again my opinion. I don't care if Game Pass had Starfield and they had Call of Duty on it. If you still never played those PlayStation exclusives, I would still pick the PlayStation, their version of Game Pass over Xbox, if you've never played them. So that's definitely my opinion on it. Definitely hot takes, I feel like.
I would agree. It's definitely the PlayStation Plus like tiered system is which, I mean, I don't think Sony's been like out of the race against like Microsoft. But they're like when they implemented it, it was definitely like a big blow, I think, against Xbox. Like it's really like
They just had so many good exclusives.
Yeah, like you can't. I mean, and like with all of the older games that people to this day enjoy, like I know people still love Bloodborne.
Oh yeah,
and it's on there. Like,
yeah, all the Souls fans, 100%.
Oh yeah, I mean it's like if you're a Soulsborne fan, it's worth it. It's got the better, like with us, it's got the better exclusives. It's definitely put Sony, like, in my opinion, in first again. That the Game Pass, honestly, it had me thinking that Xbox was going to come out ahead, but
And I think for the large majority of people that don't necessarily care about which, if you truly love video games and you can honestly say that you don't care about Sony's exclusives, you're lying to yourself, because they are the best exclusives, hands down. But yeah, I think, like I said, I think if you haven't played the games before and you have a limited budget, I would say go for PlayStation Plus Premium, or whatever they call it, whatever the tiers are. Go for that. You obviously have a bunch of old games that you get to play as well. Older games. But yeah, so with all that being said, Thursday, once again, what day was it? Thursday, the 23rd, will be the actual first episode of season 2. I don't know how long we're going to keep doing seasons, but I feel like this is why we did it in the first place. Is because, not saying we knew we were going to go on a long break, but because new and exciting things are happening. Definitely go follow us on Twitter. Go over to the website, buy some merch, leave likes and comments, hit the bell on YouTube. People say that all the time. And look for live streams happening. They will start happening. We don't know when yet, but we are going to make that a priority at some point. But we want to make sure that we get these podcasts out there. So the biggest thing is to always remember that we love you so much.
Love you so much.
Okay, bye.
Bye.